Welcome to the Awesemo MMA strategy show for UFC Vegas number 36, which goes down on Saturday afternoon inside the UFC Apex. Yes, I said afternoon. Early start time on Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. For the prelims, main card will be at 4 p.m. there Eastern time. Of course, we're here to break this one down for you. Of course, we are sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. We'll talk about a little bit about Monkey Knife Fight later on in the program. Today's show is also brought to you by our new sports betting podcast, Betting You. College football has kicked off. We got games tonight, and we have you covered as Ben Rosa and Matt Jajeski take you through each conference and the best bets on the board. Betting You is available now wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Of course, as always, I am joined by the fighter, Pete Rogers Jr. Pete, how you doing? First off, I mean, I know you're there in the Northeast. You're getting all these floods with the remnants of Hurricane Ida. How are we doing up there in Connecticut?
What's up, man? Yeah, I mean, we're getting floods everywhere. You know, last week was the hurricane. We're getting hit. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's a lot up here, and I feel like I'm living in Florida. But hey, you know, it is what it is. But we have another card here this week, small card. So hopefully it can deliver. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't lose any fights, Jason. But you know, it's an interesting DFS card for sure. Last week was extremely odd and weird, and you notice how volatile the sport can be at times. But you know, we just move forward, and hopefully we can regain our footing on this card.
Yeah, obviously, you know, just kind of looking at some of the DraftKings and FanDuel lines out there, I think there's some interesting fights. I will tell you, there is two fights that I am prioritizing in terms of GPPs. One's on the main card, one's on the prelims. And I think you probably know the two fights I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
There's two fights that I don't think you feel confident with, probably at least three of the fighters, maybe even four. But I think in terms of GPPs, those are two fights we'll have to prioritize, and we'll get to those later on in the show. But let's get right into it. Main event, we got Derek Brunson taking on Darren Till. Big matchup in the 185-pound division. Derek Brunson, 7,400 on DraftKings, $15 over on FanDuel. And then Darren Till, he's 8,800 on DraftKings, $21 over there on FanDuel. Listen to both of these guys talk yesterday to the media. Kind of funny hearing the Instagram DMs of them two going back and forth, where Brunson is saying, like, one day Darren's like, you know, wish me and my family well. Then the next day he's telling me he's going to punch a hole in my face. He goes, well, it was all good. But to me, this one is, and I've been on the wrong side of Derek Brunson the past couple of fights, is the fact that he's been able to use his wrestling. And that to me is where this comes down to. I mean, Darren Till, I've seen a lot of people are predicting him to win by TKO or KO. This is my only concern about Darren Till, especially when we're talking about DFS, is the lack of volume we see out of him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I like Darren Till a lot. And I think that he has some promise with his skill set, but I will say that volume's always a question whenever he's fighting. And you can look at the stats in regards to all of his fights. You know, a lot of times he has low output in terms of DFS, not really scoring the best. He's priced this week at 8,800. So, all right, at 8,800, we got to think of, like, we need north of 95 points. Yes, it's a 5-round fight. There's probably more likelihood of him being able to pull that off. But, I mean, if you look back on the box score, his fight against Donald Cowboy Cerrone is the only time he scored above 95 points in the past several fights. So I will say that, you know, he's priced up like he should go out there and get a finish. And I do think that is part to do with his skill set and his power, but also somewhat fading Brunson at this point of his career. Yes, his resurgence by mixing in his takedowns is incredible, and he looks excellent, you know, especially from all the work at Sanford MMA. But I will say that he has taken a ton of damage throughout his career, and he's always susceptible to get hit with a big shot. And I think that's where people don't like fading that, you know, that people like fading that liability, that chin susceptibility getting caught. And that's where I've been off Derek Brunson. I thought a guy like Emin Shabazian was going to be able to go out there and get it done. Turns out Shabazian has terrible cardio and ended up falling flat after the first round. And Brunson took advantage by mixing in some great takedowns. That is definitely Brunson's path to victory here. And as far as DFS, he has the more fantasy-friendly salary. And we always talk about locating strong wrestlers. Well, he's probably has the best potential on the slate to break the slate if he can mix in takedowns. But I still am favoring Darren Till. I really am. I think that he ends up finding a left hand or a combination that sits Derek Brunson down. You even saw him target Robert Whitaker in there. When Robert Whitaker was blitzing forward, he timed him with a beautiful left elbow, crashed him to the canvas. I think that Till should make adjustments here, and there are definitely questions regarding his volume, but I think that he will answer it. Now, as far as DFS lineups, I'm sure that you're going to be split a little bit as far as construction.
Yeah, I mean, I think you talk about the takedown aspect. I mean, there's two ways to look at that. When we talk about DraftKings, hey, Derek Brunson could rack up some points. Now, on the FanDuel side of the equation, we could also talk about, well, Darren Till could rack up some points in terms of those takedown defenses, even at $21. The lack of volume is concerning, but you mentioned about Derek Brunson, and look, I've been on the wrong side of Derek Brunson's past couple of fights. I brought this question up yesterday on my podcast, and I'll bring the same question up to you. When you look at this 4-fight winning streak that Brunson is on, tell me who the best win is against. Elias Theodorou, Ian Heinisch, Edmund Shabazian, Kevin Holland.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because Shabazian and Holland, not known for their wrestling and not known for having good cardio. So Heinisch not really looking the best either, falling flat, getting destroyed in his previous performance. So, I mean, is it Elias Theodorou who no longer fights with the promotion? I mean, perhaps. It's an interesting question.
I would probably say, I think as the win ages, Shabazian will probably end up being the best win. But like, to me, when I look at Kevin Holland, to me, he's a better guy at 170 than he is at 185. I think this is a fight that I don't know. I mean, look, you gotta look at rostering this fight. But I think that if you're a Darren Till backer, I think the hope has got to be that he does come out more volume and that the finish comes quicker than it does later, just because the volume's not there. We'll talk about Monkey Knife Fight in terms of this fight a little bit later on the show. I like Darren Till to win the matchup. I just don't know how much I'm going to prioritize it in DFS just because of the salary and looking at getting to some other higher price salary fighters.
Yeah, I would agree. And for DraftKings especially, right, he's priced at 8,800. He's got to come through at that price range. I do think that there's some safer bets on the card because there are questions regarding Darren Till's ground game. He does have some, solid BJJ, but we haven't really seen glimpses of that in the cage. It's his takedown defense that could be a problem here. I think that he could have the better cardio as this fight prolongs. And I do think that if you look at the Kevin Holland fight, when Brunson was able to take him down, and over the course of the rounds, he was starting to fatigue. I mean, anybody will. Fatigue's going to happen to any fighter out there. But in the Shabazian one, there was a lot of laying praying at some moments, and then some periods of good ground and pound. And I do think that a guy of Till's strength and skill set, he's going to make him work. And this could bring out the best in Till. So I am leaning in his direction. But as far as DFS, there's no way I'm avoiding Derek Brunson at 7,400.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, one of the things of you hit right on the point. There's times where Brunson's on the ground, you just feel like he's not doing much. And so we'll see what happens in terms of this one. Of course, a great way to show your support here for what myself and Pete and the rest of the team here at Awesemo do. So be sure to subscribe to us right here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, we got a ton of great shows for you each and every day. Of course, coming up after us will be MLB Live Before Lock, and Josh and Greg get you ready for tonight's MLB slate. Then following that will be College Football Live Before Lock with Ben and Matt to get you ready for tonight's college football action. So be sure to give us a like and subscribe so you can keep up with all our shows, offers, giveaways, and so much more. And of course, make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when a show is live here on the channel. Also, if you're not an Awesemo Plus member, you want to get a little peek about what's behind the paywall. Today's free premium data and tools is MLB Top Pitcher. So if you've been thinking about becoming an Awesemo Plus member, you kind of want to get a little preview of what you can expect behind the paywall, check out that over at awesemo.com today. The MLB Top Pitchers tool, great tool to use when developing your MLB lineups. Now, Pete, time for you to get excited. It's Tom Aspinall Fight Week. Do we got the Tom Aspinall shirt ready to go?
Bro, I love Tom Aspinall. You guys know this, and I am backing him in this matchup. I do think that it's a difficult fight, right? Like, I think fighting Sergey Spivak early on in the UFC would have been a great decision. I'm saying, like, when Sergey debuted, I think that he was a much different fighter than he is now. He's starting to show that he's a well-rounded heavyweight. And I do think that Tom Aspinall is a well-rounded heavyweight as well. Stepping up on short notice, we have Spivak, but I will say that he's probably extremely prepared for this opportunity. Most people are. at this stage of the game. But Tom Aspinall, man, I can't get enough of Tom Aspinall. I love Tom Aspinall. I think that his boxing's incredible. Former sparring partner for Tyson Fury. I think the best skill set that he has is phenomenal BJJ. That is somewhat unspoken of, but we did see that in the Andrei Arlovsky fight when he shot one of the most beautiful blast doubles I've ever seen in MMA. Okay, head it against the chest, just drove through his opponent, immediately wrapped up the neck, secured the choke. Tom Aspinall is my guy. I like him quite a bit. As far as DFS, I'm going to take some shots because I don't know how the fight's going to go. He could, pressure Spivak early, hit him with some shots. This does seem like it's a fight that goes the distance, so I am somewhat tempering expectations. But there's no way I'm not playing Aspinall on fight week. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be a parlay staple for me. I like him just a lot. I have a lot of faith in his skill set. But as far as DFS, we need production, and at 9,000, I don't know if you're really going to get like a crazy total.
Are you concerned about the gas tank?
Yeah, I mean, what heavyweight has good gas, really? Like,
Cain Velasquez, that's about it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why he was such a freak. I mean, it's always a concern for me, especially when you're talking about big guys, slinging leather and mixing in takedowns. They're going to fatigue a lot more than other weight classes. But I mean, we could also be a little bit nervous about Spivak taking the fight on short notice. So possibly their cardios will cancel each other out, and they'll be somewhat even.
And that's something to bring up about this fight card is the fact. So this fight card was initially supposed to take place in London. That was the plan, but because of what our world is with COVID, the fight's not happening there. So like if you go to Tapology and you look at the canceled and fizzled bouts, I think it's 12. I mean, and you look at, all the fighters. Aspinall was originally supposed to take on Sergey Pavlicek. Now, Spivak said he got the call for this last Sunday. He was in Russia, took the fight, got on a plane, got here. There's some fighters who literally did not get to Vegas till about a day or two ago. One of those is the guy that we're going to talk about in a little bit, Paddy Pimblett. He didn't get there till late Tuesday because he actually didn't get his visa until Tuesday. He was waiting for it to finally come in so he could actually travel to the United States. So that's that's a storyline with this card, is you have a lot of fighters who are stepping up on short notice, taking this fight last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So that's something. It's always that's one of the things I love about Tapology is if you're looking to kind of see who has stepped it up on short notice, that's a great tool to use there. But look, I will say this: I think in terms of live betting, if this fight hits a second, third round, you might want to take a little sprinkle of Sergey Spivak.
100%, and it's not that I don't think that Sergey Spivak is talented. I think that on any given day, any of these fighters can better their opponent and definitely find ways to win. And I think that Sergey Spivak, with his well-rounded skill set, can definitely present problems for Tom Aspinall. I think this is a harder fight than, now than if it happened, let's say, in Aspinall's debut. But I am happy that Aspinall got his feet wet a little bit. They both got their feet wet. I predict that these guys will see each other again in the future. But for me, it's Tom Aspinall. I think that as far as underdogs on the slate, Sergey Spivak's going to be pretty popular at 7,200. Because it is heavyweight, and if you look at his totals, 75 against Olenek, 132 against Vandera, 101 against Felipe, Tuivasa, 120. Obviously, he would have to implement a large amount of takedowns, some control, and win the fight in order to really, get a total like that. But a close decision really wouldn't surprise me. However, I like Aspinall a lot.
And moving on, we talk about fighters stepping up on short notice, take the fights. That's a situation for Alex Morono, who is 8,700 on DraftKings, taking on David Zawada, 7,500. Alex Morono talked about this yesterday. He said the UFC gave him two options. They said you can fight in 2 weeks against David Zawada, or we can't get you a fight till December. So he said, I'll fight in 2 weeks. I'd also like to fight in December. And he is actually taking the earliest flight out possible on Sunday morning to corner fighters, some of his fighters at a local show there in Houston. But Alex Morono, 8,700, 7,500 for Zawada. This is actually a fight that I actually like to go the distance here. And I like the decision prop of Alex Morono wins via decision plus 180. Don't know how much I love that 8,700 price tag over on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight for sure, and one where we've seen Alex Morono with a well-rounded skill set, a decent cardio, I'll say, but he really throws with good volume, and that volume can, really just pay off well for him, right? Like, and especially against a guy in David Zavada who hasn't been the most active as far as output. That's where he can win rounds, right? The guy who just does more will end up edging that round out. However, I do look at the Alex Morono and Pettis fight, and I see where, Pettis is very squirrely and is able to reverse positions very well. Always has been like that, even in the WEC. Doesn't have the best takedown defense, but when it does hit the mat, he's able to sweep or, change positions and get on top. And I did see Alex Morono somewhat get put on his back at times and just outgunned in the scramble department. Now, David Zavada does have some very, very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Good submissions off of his back. You saw that in his debut. He did get taken down a lot against Hamazan Ameev, and his wrestling defense is not the best, right? So if Alex Morono wants to, he should have high volume, and in addition to high volume, mix in some takedowns. Make David Zavada, work, tire him out. However, I think that David Zavada is going to be extremely strong in this fight, and I think that him working with American Top Team, I think that he will come in more prepared for this fight than maybe previous fights. I actually like the underdog a little bit here, and I know a lot of people are like Alex Morono in a decision or just based on his experience, but for me, I think that David Zavada's low calf kicks can cause a lot of problems for Alex Morono, who stands so upright. I think that as long as he can keep the fight on the feet, it'll be a tit for tat type of fight. If it does end up on the mat, Zavada just needs to really just be the stronger athlete, which is very difficult to do if you don't have a good gas tank. But for me, I just like the underdog, David Zavada, 7,500. I like his price tag. I can't blame you if you want to bet on the UFC vet. This card for underdogs. It's a little odd for me, and that's why I like David Zavada more than some other underdogs.
And Alex Morono looking for back-to-back wins for the first time since 2019. He's been alternating wins and losses since 2020. Now, of course, the fantasy football season is right around the corner as we are 7 days away from opening night of the NFL regular season. The also fantasy football draft kick is available now for season-long and best ball fantasy leagues. The same projections, tools, analysis that we use for NFL DFS goes into the package, which includes our draft wingman, best ball rankings, and stacking guide, trade value chart, and so much more. You'll also receive up to $35 credits for underdog and FFPC leagues. You can get this package for 33% off when you use the promo code WR at checkout. That's $9.95 for everything we offer for season long and best ball. Of course, I mentioned that draft wingman is something you got to take advantage of. I've got my draft on Saturday of this week, so yeah, that draft wingman will definitely be used here in the Floyd war room as I develop my fantasy league. So you got to check out that fantasy draft kick we have over at Awesemo.com. Now, I mentioned there are two fights this card that I believe we have to prioritize in terms of GPPs. And one of those fights is a fight we're going to talk about next. Modestas Bukauskas and Khalil Roundtree. And just by seeing the head knob by Pete clearly agrees with me that this is a fight we got to prioritize.
I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this fight. Admittedly, I have no idea.
Who do you trust? That I think that's probably the question here. Who do you trust more? Like, take salaries completely out of the equation.
I guess I'd have to say Roundtree because he's fought more in the promotion. And his aggressiveness and power is something that I do think is special, but his non-existent ground game in wrestling is always troublesome. His motivation is worrisome. This is a fight that I will be prioritizing and making a group that I want to have exposure to this fight because I feel like somebody's going to get finished. I really worry about Roundtree just somehow landing on the mat and getting, stopped or possibly submitted, because I do think that Modestas Bukauskas, he's not a wrestler by any means. He likes to stand up, but crazier things have happened and crazier game plans have been created. I think that the easiest path to get a victory is just take down Roundtree or try to just mix it in, make them think about it. I don't know who the hell to trust in this fight. 8,500 for Bukauskas, 7,700 for Roundtree. Arguably, Bukowski won his last fight. Jason, I might need your help on this one, man. What are your thoughts for this matchup right here?
So I talked to Modestas last Friday. Okay, I think it was last Friday I talked to him, and so my big takeaway was he has changed training teams leading into this matchup. He decided that he needed to make a change. He's talked about he has evolved a lot as a fighter. I mean, I think that The one thing is this is a fight that he doesn't got to worry about takedowns, and he knows that. He also admitted to me that he knows that if he does not win this fight, his days in the UFC are over. He is fully aware of that. The only concern I have with Modestas is him being on his heels and Khalil Roundtree basically able to decide where the dance goes. That's my only concern about it. I mean, I'm totally with you about creating a group where you say, give me one or the other and create me some lineups that way with Fantasy Cruncher. I'm not sure who I would trust more. I mean, but I think it's a fight you have to prioritize. And you just know that if you go, hey, I want 50% of each guy, half your lineups are going to be dead.
Right. I mean, it's like a risk reward, right? Like if you really feel like this fight's going to go and be a part of the optimal, I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to have a high score because it's going to be extremely volatile. Anytime they exchange, you're going to be really like careful and quivering and hoping that your guy comes out unscathed. We have to think of when Roundtree was at his best is when he was training over in Thailand, and then he came back and he looked phenomenal. And everybody says Bangkok ready, Bukowski, Roundtree. I mean, he looked amazing when he had that camp. But, back at Syndicate, I do think that he will be a little prepared as far as the entire MMA game is considered. It's just, to me, this is a low-level fight, right? Like, this is a low-level fight, and anytime in low-level MMA, you see the variance. And as far as, people out there just making lineups, this is one to prioritize and create a group.
Well, I mean, I think, especially when you look over the FanDuel situation where if you want to put Roundtree, he's only $13. I think that makes lineup construction really nice here. But to me, this is a fight that you have to prioritize. You're not going to feel good either way. I mean, I think, in reality, it's a 50-50 fight. I was actually surprised to see how big of a betting favorite Modestas is. He's a minus 155 favorite here when when I did the interview with Modestas, and then I was like, I don't know, a couple days later, I looked at the betting odds. I was actually surprised to see that he was a minus 155 favorite. I thought this would be closer to a pick 'em than what it's currently at.
That's what I thought. I mean, I don't look at the odds until the very last minute. I will say that I will favor Roundtree. Given the salary relief, 7,700, given the UFC experience. I will say that anytime you have a cornered animal fighting for their job, that's always that can sometimes bring out the best. Didn't really make a difference for Sam Alvey last week, but Bukowski possibly could come out here and make a statement.
Yeah, it's definitely did not work out for Sam Alvey, and Dana White talked about they're going to give Sam Alvey another fight.
Bro, I mean, I'm not going to hate on it because, happy that he gets to stay, I guess, but to me, that was a head scratcher. I don't really understand that. Company guy, I guess. Maybe he has a good relationship with Dana, and he'd done a lot of favors for him, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at Khalil Roundtree, he's only got one win in his previous 3 fights, so we'll see what happens there, but I do think in terms of GPPs, it is a fight that we do got to prioritize. Then our opening fight on the main card is probably, I think, the reason a lot of people are going to tune in to see the UFC debut of Paddy Pimblett. Comes over from Cage Warriors. The UFC had previously tried to sign him on 2 other occasions. He turned the UFC down, basically did not feel he was ready to come to the UFC quite yet, developing his skills, which is not a bad thing, where vice versa, his opponent, Luigi, admitted this week that he got to the UFC too early, that, he's been developing his skills. Obviously a fight salary-wise, very nice over on DraftKings, 8,300 for Paddy, where it's 7,900 for Luigi. Now on FanDuel, a little bit of a different story, $18 for Paddy Pimblett, so you got to pay up for him, $12 for Luigi. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around Paddy Pimblett heading in this one, Pete.
There is, and a lot of times hype doesn't translate into the cage, and I feel like, Vendramini is going to be one of the most popular underdogs on the slate, and, given the question marks surrounding Paddy Pimblett, given his push more so on the way that he speaks, less on his skill set. But I will say that Paddy Pimblett does have skills, right? Like, I think that him not coming to the UFC at that time was probably the best move for him. I think that if he came, he would have possibly been washed out of the promotion relatively early. Being able to come in here a little bit later when you're a little bit more mature, you understand the game a little bit more, I think is extremely important. I do still like Paddy Pimblett here at 8,300. I just feel like the hunger is something that that when I look at on film, and his pace is something that I do favor in this matchup. I do think that Vendramini sitting back at times in the Farziem fight is what has me a little concerned. And I do think that Vendramini has some power and he has some good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Definitely does. So he could answer some of the tricks that Paddy Pimblett is going to try to catch him with. I just remember in my mind where Vendramini was struggling against Farziem, who I do think that is relatively green in MMA, a very, very talented kickboxer. But I feel like a guy that wants it so much can break you. And a guy like Paddy Pimblett, if he can get you into an advantageous position, his ground and pound, I think, is solid. But his sneaky submission game is interesting. And at 8,300, I just think that the discount is so much. I'm fine with targeting Paddy Pimblett here at 8,300. I do think that Vendramini will be a part of a small underdog pool for me at 7,900 based on the volatility and the unknowns around Pimblett. But I like Pimblett in the matchup.
And Patty said something, if you want to be a backer, you're going to like what he says. We always talk about, you want a fighter who's going to go out there and fight for your money. He has already come out and said that he's going to be disappointed if he can't finish him within 2 rounds.
I like it. I mean, I do like it. And I understand that that's, steep expectations. And, a lot of people just think it's hype and it's just talk. And to a degree, I would say it is. But I also think that, I know the X factors in this game and hunger and drive and just that dog in a fighter. I feel like Paddy Pimblett has it a little bit more than Vendramini.
Yeah, he is a guy that there's a ton of hype around this kid. And I have a feeling that you're going to see people calling out Paddy Pimblett because they're going to try to get a little bit of that shine from him. Next up, we got a female matchup. You got McCann and Kim. This is your 8,200, 8,000 fight. McCann is the 8,000 side of this equation. I want to mention this question we got earlier today on Twitter from Hunterman about this matchup. He goes, do each of you see Molly getting the takedowns here? I have no reason not to project them here. Kind of surprised. It's an area of contention. Kim has Kim to be taken down and Molly whopped. Now, here's the first thing, and we can obviously talk about McCann potentially getting the fight to the ground. She is at a massive, massive reach advantage in this one. As Kim has got a 10-inch reach advantage. So, obviously, when you're talking about that kind of reach, you don't want to play the outside game. And to me, if you're McCann, the thought has got to be trying to get this matchup to the ground.
100%, right? Like McCann's going to have to close that distance. And in order to close that distance, she has to, throw some shots that, Kim will respect, close the distance, pin her against the cage, try to get some takedowns. I don't think Kim has the best takedown defense, to be honest. I do think that her length can be to her advantage if she uses it correctly. If you're a tall fighter or a long fighter, you can defend takedowns a little bit better in some situations if you can spread your legs a lot, if you can really fight for underhooks, if you can use a wizard to your implement it in your game. But I do think that Molly McCann has fought the better competition, if we're being honest. And I do think that she has some solid wins against some fighters, and it has aged well, right? And I do think that Molly McCann mixes up her MMA game better than Kim. Kim is just content staying and kickboxing and boxing. And I think that McCann will make it ugly at points. If this is a stand-up fight, I am worried about Molly McCann, though, to be honest, just losing a decision. I will favor Molly McCann in the matchup. And I was pretty surprised with the price. 8,000. I'll take the discount. I like her. I always like takedown upside, especially for DFS. So 8,000 is the fighter, Molly McCann, that I will be favoring in the matchup.
Let me play a little true false with you in terms of a comment from the YouTube chat. Joshua says, Molly is the best play on the card.
I don't know about that. I think that she has potential, but I don't know about the best play. And the reason I don't know about the best play is because, reach is real. And if Kim just stays on the outside and moves, and she can cause problems to Molly McCann. And, we're going to have to see Molly McCann be on her A game, closing that gap. And then in addition to closing that gap, finishing the takedowns. So.
Yeah, but I feel like because of that potential takedown, especially when we look at DraftKings, I think people are going to be looking there at Molly McCann and on FanDuel, $16 and $15 respectively. So, but obviously, it's female fights, armbar from guard.
No, I'm not seeing that happen this week. Not at all. last week we did see that a fighter was looking for it, and it was, definitely something to worry about. But we hit that matchup last week, and I'm hoping that Molly McCann will continue this for us.
By the way, I will let everyone know I will be on Live Before Lock on Saturday. It's been 3 weeks since I've done Live Before Lock.
Yeah, right. It'll be good to have you back, buddy. It's an early card, which I like because I don't have to work, and I will be able to be at my house and watch the fights and chill and just enjoy them. So yeah, I like the earlier fight cards.
Oh, trust me, I am all about some afternoon MMA. All about it. All about it.
Like, I love it when they used to do cards like, in England and all this and that, and we'd wake up in the morning and they were morning fights. Like, I really like that.
Yeah, I didn't really like the ones when they were in the Far East and cards start like 4:00 in the morning. I really wasn't big on those.
Yeah, that was super.
Could you imagine going, hey Pete, we're doing Live Before Lock, 3 a.m. Eastern time. Tyler, you ready to go?
I'm a man of the people. I feel like Tyler, I don't think that he would be happy in a situation like that.
Yeah, but right now we do not have to worry about the UFC going outside of the United States with everything that is going on. Of course, today's show is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. With Monkey Knife Fight, you are in charge, whether you want to play UFC, MLB, or whatever it may be. Monkey Knife Fight has it. To get started, all you got to do is go to monkeyknifefight.com, choose a game you want to play, your contest type, and your buy-in. And even better, Monkey Knife Fight has an instant first match deposit of up to $100 when you sign up with the promo code Awesemo. Pete, let's take a look at two props that Monkey Knife Fight has for this card. And one thing I always say when it comes to Monkey Knife Fight, if you like a number on Thursday, hop on it immediately because these numbers will change throughout the week. Derek Brunson, Darren Till, total strikes landed. Derek Brunson, 87.5. Darren Till, 57.5. Now, look, if you think Derek Brunson is going to win a 25-minute decision, I kind of like going more on 87.5. Even with Darren Till being a low volume guy, 57.5, to go more, you got to be thinking it's going to go 25 minutes. If you think this fight's going to end in 15 minutes or less, I think you have to go less on Darren Till.
I'm saying less on both. I don't know if Brunson can take that many shots to the chin from Darren Till. And in addition to that, I don't really see Brunson going out there and striking with so much volume like that. I think he's going to be just reliant on the takedowns. I'm saying less on both.
Then in the co-main event of Aspinall and Spivak, Aspinall 57.5, Sergey Spivak 37.5.
I feel like,
it's an interesting number.
I think this fight's going to go the distance, to be honest. I'm going to say more on both of them. And I know a lot of people are expecting an early finish. It could happen. Definitely could happen. And if that happens, I favor Tom Aspinall with the finish. But I will say more for both.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say more as well, especially if you think this thing's going 3 rounds. I think that's an easy double check more and move on to your next fight. But of course, be sure to check out Monkey Knife Fight, monkeyknifefight.com. Be sure to use that promo code Awesemo when you sign up for an instant first match deposit of up to $100. We got 4 more fights left here to go. And you talk about one of the biggest favorites on the card, Jack Shore, over a 5-1 betting favorite here. Are you going with the hype here? Do you want to pay up for Jack Shore this week?
I do like Jack Shore. I really do like Jack Shore. I think that 9,100 is fair given his skill set. He's an excellent wrestler, excellent grappler. I do think that he will have to work harder for takedowns if he chooses to take down Shaolinian. Shaolinian's a phenomenal wrestler in himself, and you saw that on display on The Ultimate Fighter where, when he decided to wrestle, he had great success. When he decided to stand up and bang, that's where he was edged out in a fight. And if he does try to stand up against Jack Shore, I think he's going to be behind him. And I think that this fight can be won in the scrambles. You saw it in the Hunter Azure fight that Jack Shore is a phenomenal scrambler, but he is human and he can get out scrambled in certain positions. And Hunter Azure is a solid wrestler. And I think that a lot of people just view him as a wrestler with an overhand. But I do think that Hunter Azure is pretty well-rounded. Yeah. I just do think that Jack Shore is the real deal. I like him. I like his skill set. I like his potential. I'm interested to see, right? Like if I'm looking here at the box scores, submission ability of getting Shaolinian out there is interesting. Very interesting. I do think that this will go the distance. So do we think that Jack Shore will get 6 takedowns similar to how he got against Hunter Azure? Probably say not that many. No, I think that he'll have more striking volume. But we do want to get above 95 points. And if it goes the distance, will he pay off the price tag is the big question, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some of the props out there, over 2.5 rounds, minus 125, fight goes decision, plus 100.
Ooh, look at Jason finding these little nuggets. I like it.
Hey, you just teed it up for me. You lobbed it up for me and said Jake's hit it out of the park.
There we go. There we go. I like it. I do think that Shelinian is good. I think that he has pretty solid skill set for the division, and I think that he can get some wins in the UFC. I really do. I just think that this is a very difficult task to step in on short notice against Jack Shore. I don't see it happening here, man, but this is MMA.
Samuel, appreciate you there with Super Chat. We'll get to your questions there at the end of the show. Of course, we'll also give you our straight up fight picks as well. Let's move on to the next matchup, and it is the second fight that I believe we have to target in terms of GPPs, and that is Julian Rosa versus Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain, 8,900. Juicy J, he is 7,300 over on FanDuel, $20 and $10 respectively. Pete, this is very much to me like Modestus and Roundtree earlier. It's a fight you have to prioritize. I mean, look, I don't think it's in Julian Rosa's DNA to go the distance. He is a live by the sword, die by the sword kind of fighter. He is going to go out there and, I mean, look, you can have questions about his chin. We have seen him get knocked out. But to me, in terms of GPPs, this is a fight we have to prioritize.
Yeah, I don't blame you for saying that. I don't really struggle with this matchup so much like I struggled in the Bukowski and Khalil Roundtree fight. I do favor Charles Jourdain here. And the reason I do is I think that he's going to be the bigger man. I think that he hits a lot harder. I know that Charles Jourdain kind of screws around a little bit at times in fights and takes his foot off the gas pedal and allows his opponents to really impose their will before he decides, hey, I'm in a fight. I got to turn the tide and I got to come out here and get the victory. His aggression and killer instinct is great when he decides to go. It's a matter of just really pulling the trigger at the correct time. I do worry about Julian Rosa hopping in the cage so soon after getting knocked out in a brutal fashion. And to this point within his career, he has taken a ton of damage. So I am hesitant to put Rosa in my, in there with any faith. But given his skill set of how he absorbs punches to the face and still kind of keeps coming forward like a zombie, and if he can outlast you at times, he will probably have the better cardio than you. He'll outwork you. He'll work towards submissions, mix in some takedowns. So I don't blame what you're saying at all. I just feel like Charles Jourdain could be a little bit bigger and a little bit wiser to everything Rosa tries in this situation. So I'm favoring Jourdain heavily here at 8,900. 7,300 though, Rosa has great upside given exactly what you mentioned.
And this is one of those fights on the card that came together. Late notice replacement here. Julian Rosa stepping up. This is at a catch weight of 150 pounds. And 100 in the chat says, warning guys, Rosa says he's going to wrestle for 15 minutes. I don't believe him.
I don't think it's in his DNA. I don't think it's in his DNA. I mean, he could, right? If he does, he could go out there and get himself a safe win. But also, since he's not so dominant in the wrestling department and he attempts a strategy like that, right? He's going to tax himself more than somebody who's really well versed in that area. And what that could possibly do is get him exposed and led to a devastating KO. I think that would be a smart game plan. If he was with James Krause or something like that, they would probably say, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to blend our hands into our takedowns and we're going to try to avoid the firefight because, we don't want exactly what happened last time to replicate here. I don't see a wrestling path being a part of Rosa's arsenal, really. Like, I mean, it's there. I just feel like that's not who he is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like I said, he's a live by the sword, die by the sword. It's kind of like, Pete Sr. could say, all right, PJ, I want you to wrestle this game. You could do it, but that's not your DNA.
Right, exactly.
Your DNA is to go make this a stand-up fight.
Exactly. You got to use your strengths to your advantage. And, if Charles Jourdain, he knows what everybody's going to try to do. Everybody's going to try to take him down. Historically, his takedown defense has been terrible. And that's why Rosa should look to exploit it. But in saying that, if Jourdain has a brain, every camp is going to be revolving around improving that takedown defense to really showcase his skill set. So I'm expecting Jourdain to go out there and get the victory.
And we got 2 more fights here left to go. We got Dalcha taking on Barrio. Barrio 8,400, Dalcha 7,800, 19-11. Over there on FanDuel, Pete, what's your take?
I really like Marc-Andre Barrio. I really like him. He's going to be a staple for my parlays. He really is. I like him in the mid-range. I like his entire skill set. I like the fact that he's at Sanford MMA. He's surrounded by talented bodies. I think that, heading into the UFC, I was backing him and I was like, man, how come this guy's skill set is not really like showing off in the UFC? And, if you think about it, he's had some very, very difficult fights, right? Kind of somewhat thrown to the wolves. Sanchez, Jotko, Park, 3 very difficult fights for a debuting UFC fighter. Like, all right, sink or swim. And, he sunk to the bottom. And now he's climbing himself back up. This is an extremely favorable matchup, in my opinion, against Dalcha Lungiambula. Dalcha hits really hard, has some really, really good throws, a judoka background. But for me, with a limited gas tank, he's a early finish or bust type of fighter. And I do think that Barrio is going to weigh on him as the fight, takes place. I think that Barrio's work rate is something that's very difficult to replicate. Lungiambula is not going to be able to match the pace. So it's Andre Barrio for me, and it's a pretty confident pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do like Barrio in this one as well. 8,400, nice little price tag there on DraftKings. So you like the salary in terms of roster construction, especially if you're trying to do some of those 9,000 options. Now, our first fight of the night, we've got Jonathan Martinez taking on Marcelo Roja. 8,600 here for Jonathan Martinez. Marcelo Roja steps up on short notice to replace Nathaniel Wood in this matchup. He is 7,600. Jonathan Martinez is a guy that we were high on, and then he's coming in off that loss, which is, I think, going to kind of, temper some expectations here. But do you want to get to an 8,600 Jonathan Martinez here?
I think I want to target this fight. And I think that's kind of my strategy for this card is I want to target this fight because I feel like Jonathan Martinez is either going to be his old self or if he's going to be the same fighter he was in the Davey Grant fight. I think that we could be looking at, a very nice underdog in Marcelo Rojo. I am leaning in Marcelo Rojo's favor. And the reason is because of the aggressiveness. I was actually pretty impressed with him in his debut against Charles Jourdain. And I understand that he ended up getting TKO'd in the 3rd round, but up until that point, I mean, he was really making it an ugly fight and almost making me question my pick of Charles Jourdain. I like him in this spot based on, just imposing his will. If he's able to go out there and somewhat outvolume his opponent, Jonathan Martinez has looked great. But if we put his wins under a microscope, right, we can look at his track record in his previous couple fights. Davey Grant, he lost. Thomas Almeida, Frankie Science, lost a split to Andre Ewell, a victory over Ping Yuan Liu, Buren Wiligi, and debut loss to Andre Sukumtat. I know Rojo hasn't faced basically anybody in the UFC besides Charles Jourdain. Is his 2nd fight. But I don't know if this strength of schedule, I mean, were we blinded? Did we kind of put, Jonathan Martinez up on a pedestal when he really wasn't what we thought he was? Or is this a much more even fight? And I do think that it's an even fight, and Marcelo Rojo can possibly win this via aggression.
I like Jonathan Martinez to win this fight. I mean, look, you know me, there are certain gyms that I pack, and Factory X is one of those gyms. And you look at Marcelo Rojo, comes over from Combate Americas, or now known as Combate Global. 2nd fight there, massive neck tat. If you've not seen this massive neck tat that he has, I can only imagine how long it took him to get that tattoo. Pete, I could not see you rocking the neck tat.
What's funny is if I'm going to get a tattoo, I think I'm going to go big. I think I'm just going to go do it. And if I'm going to get a tattoo at all, I'm not going to get like a little Tweety bird on my ankle. I'm going to get the full neck tat, maybe the Tyson tat, maybe something. I think I might have to do something. Or maybe I'll just do one of these henna tattoos for one fight, make everybody think that I did it and I didn't. But I don't know, man. I kind of like the neck tats.
Have you seen his neck tat?
No, I'll have to.
It is massive.
I think my mom would hit me with a baseball bat if I showed up with that, at family dinner. She'd be like, what the heck are you doing?
That's what you got to do. You got to get the fake one. Just show up at family dinner. Tell Bree to have the camera rolling.
Oh, my God. You guys don't know. My mom, she will beat me for something like that. And I kind of want to do it now.
Tyler says, get Pete the heat across the chest.
Oh, I couldn't do that. See, I feel like that's cringy. I don't want a cringy tat. Like my nickname on my back, Anthony Showtime Pettis has like his nickname and he points to it. Like, I don't know if I want that. I think I want something like crazy, like a throat tat with like, you just see inside my neck type of thing.
Yeah, nah, it's not my thing, man. Just not my thing. Nah, it is not my thing at all. If you see me get a tattoo, Pete, you need to start making some calls and saying, is Jason okay?
Oh, man. There we go.
But of course, if you do got any questions on these fights, be sure to line those up in the chat. We'll get to those here momentarily, but do want to let you know that we do have 2 new YouTube channels that you need to subscribe to. If you love what we do for DFS, then you're going to love what we're doing for season-long fantasy football and sports betting, as you can check out all the great content that we're producing from sports betting and fantasy football content around the clock. So make sure to stay up to date with the videos from your favorite Awesemo hosts. Got a ton of great content there for you on the Awesemo YouTube channels. So let's get into a super chat. First up from Samuel. Appreciate it always, as comes in with his usual questions here. Top 2 cash, GPPs, underdogs, MVPs, favorites inside the distance, top leverage plays, upset of the night, first fight of the night, optimal, fade, and upset of the night. So where do you want to start, Pete?
Damn, Sam. That's all I'm going to say. We appreciate you, Sam. I will say that for me, a guy I really, really like, and I was surprised with the salary. It's in the mid-range. I like Marc-Andre Barrio a lot. I just think he's going to be a staple for a lot of my lineups, and he's going to be a significant parlay piece for me. In addition to that, it's tough, right? We're looking at this top end. Shore, Aspinall, Jourdain.
I would probably feel the most comfortable because of finish with Jourdain.
He screws around so much, though, but I do think that this is a matchup made in heaven for him.
I
will.
Oh, go ahead.
I will. I don't know, man. I like Jack Shore a lot. I think I still might go Jack Shore.
His thing about favorites inside the distance, I just look at 2 fights, Roundtree and Bukowski and Rosa Jourdain. I think I would be relatively surprised if those fights go 15 minutes. I think we're seeing a stoppage in both of those.
I think that's a great prediction.
First fight of the night being optimal, based on kind of what you said, I kind of feel like you believe it will be optimal.
I feel like it will be from a Marcelo Rojo standpoint. I don't really know about Jonathan Martinez win though, right? Like sometimes he's patient. He sits on the outside. He leg kicks. He stabs to the body. He'll hit a couple combinations. He'll dance around. I think Marcelo Rojo has, being a part of the optimal lineup a little bit more. I think it's more likely than Jonathan Martinez.
And maybe Rojo is the guy that pulls off the upset of the night. As I kind of look up and down the card here, in terms of those underdogs, there's not a ton that stick out to me.
I don't know. I feel like our boy Hunter really likes a lot of underdogs this week. If I'm looking at underdogs, I'll probably say, and I might be alone on this island, I will say the underdog that I like the most will probably be David Zavada. And I might be like one of the few that like him a lot this week.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the top 2 cash, Aspinall sticks out to me at 9,000 as a top play. And then you're kind of selling me on Marc-Andre Barrio here.
I like him, man. And, he hasn't – I don't know, man. I just like the camp of Sanford MMA. I like the blend of punches and kicks and takedowns. And he's going to be prepared, right? Dolce Lungabula, his gas tank is non-existent. He has a really, really explosive round 1 and then, just does enough in several rounds. I feel like Andre Barrio is going to pit him against the cage and just go to work. And I think that we could see a pretty dominant decision.
In terms of a fight that I'm fading, I don't think there's really a fight that I see myself, quote unquote, fading in terms of this one. I mean, is there any fights that you look at as a potential fade?
as a fade, I will say, man, yeah, right. Hard to fade 10 fights, honestly, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, what we try to do is during this 14, 13 fights, pick a few that you're going to be underweight to. But as far as right now, I probably wouldn't fade anything.
I just laughed about a comment from Dan about Marcelo Rojo. Never discount a man with that much ink work on his throat. That's a man who is committed to never working a normal 9 to 5 ever again. He is about this punch face life.
Yes. Yeah. No, for real. I forget who did it, and they got tattoos on purpose so that they never have to go to a 9 to 5 job because they know that nobody would hire them. And they said, you know what? I'm going all in on this MMA career, and I respect the hell out of that. I kind of want a tattoo on my neck now, like a.
I feel like we need to put a shirt together being about this punch face life.
That's awesome.
Let's go through our straight up picks here. So these are non-DFS related, just straight up picks. I'll go down mine and then Pete will give his. I will go Darren Till, Tom Aspinall, give me Morono. I will go Modestas. Don't feel great about it. Give me Pimlet. I'll say McCann with a minor upset there. Give me Jack Shore. I will go Charles Jourdain, Barrio, and Martinez.
Okay. I will go with, it's a very weird week. I will go Till, Aspinall, David Zavada for the upset, Roundtree, Pimblett, Molly McCann, Jack Short, Charles Jourdain, Marc-Andre Barrio, and another upset, Marcelo Rojo.
By the way, people in the chat are just trying to figure out what kind of tattoo you should get.
I mean, like flames would be cool, but I don't know if they would be cool at the same point. I feel like that'd be somewhat cringy. Throat tattoos hurt a hell of a lot. Yeah, they must. I might have to be restrained from cracking the freaking tattoo artist.
Fire on your skull like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Goodness.
I can only imagine what your mom's reaction would be if that happened.
I got to do it. I got to prank her. And put the video out. Now
you do love doing these scare her videos.
Oh, dude. People don't know. I prank the hell out of my parents all the time. And I feel like I need to develop a prank where she thinks I got a legitimate tattoo, and it's going to be an absurd one. So if you have any ideas, hit me up on Twitter at PTHeatMMA, at Jason_Floyd. As always, we appreciate the heck out of you guys. You guys are the best. Excited to do a live before lock with Jason again. It was great with Greg, but Jason's my boy. Jason's my boy. And I'm always excited to talk fights with Jason. And if you appreciate what you do, guys, just hit that thumbs up for us. Get us over 100 likes. We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, it's about that road life. I will tell you, Pete, being TSA pre-check, game changer. Game changer.
Oh, I saw that line. I saw that line when I went to Mexico, and I was like, yeah, we're not cool enough for that line. That must be for the Jason Floyds of the world with the TSA pre-check. You want to know how much that costs? $100.
$85 for 5 years.
Hell, sign me up. I'm doing it.
Literally, you do the application online. You go to the airport where they have an office. They sit you, ask some questions, and it can take as I got my number in 2 days. Okay. And literally, it is so best $85 ever spent.
That sounds like criminally underpriced.
Yeah, it is, dude. I got. By the way, I couldn't believe how many people were at the Houston airport at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. That regular line was. So many people. That TSA pre-check, right through.
There we go.
Game changer, Pete.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Jason, what time are we on Saturday? Noon, right?
12:30.
12:30.
12:30 Eastern time. So we'll be here for 1 hour breaking down and answering any questions you do have. Of course, if you watch this after the fact, leave comments in the YouTube channel. Me and Pete, we come in here, we check those comments, so we'll answer those as well. Of course, coming up next here on Awesemo is MLB Live Before Lock, as the guys get you ready for tonight's MLB slate. Then following them, it'll be college football live before lock. So that's going to do it for the strategy show. We will see you on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time for Live Before Lock. Have a good day, everybody.